we have some heavy topics. There's a boy here on a TikTok challenge, and my daughter died in a car crash, and so I am right there with these parents. I know what it's like to basically hear those words, and we can't do anything. So this is a heavy thing for me today, but this is why I do it, because life is heavy, and we have to show through heavy things that we can keep going, and we can look at what's right and what's honest and what's true and do the best that we can with it. So we are going to talk about that TikTok challenge and that 12-year-old boy from Colorado. We are going to talk about how the Minnesota Supreme Court throws out rape conviction because intoxicated woman willingly consumed alcohol. And I tied in this week, as you guys know how heavy it got, I tied in Jeffrey Epstein. And how do you say her name?
Giselle or Giselle? Or Ghislaine.
Ghislaine or something? Yeah,
you know
Ghislaine.
what? I've been going through that. Like, what is it?
Yeah, I'm not very intelligent, so having to read names is kind of messes me up a little bit. But, so we're going to talk about that as well. That's going to be all tied into this. And then also there's a French philosopher, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name, but Michael. I've actually heard of this guy, and now he's being accused also. He's the philosopher that is a beacon of today's woke ideology. So we're going to dig into that. And then, of course, there is the ship that, jammed up the canal, right? Yeah. Talk about that today as well. And then from our state of Minnesota, once again, we're going to talk about how Minnesota COVID models used to justify lockdowns were 90% wrong. And of course, let's talk about California and some of the great things that they have for weather and view, and how they screw so many things up, it seems. And it's a mass exodus. And I have literally talked to a lot of people, and they are leaving in droves. I mean, I literally just was there in San Diego last night, or yesterday afternoon. I flew out, and there were people that were on a plane that had shipped their stuff to where? What plane was I on? Where was I heading?
Delta?
Minnesota. They're moving from California to Minnesota.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
Are they coming back home?
From worse to almost as bad?
Pretty crazy. So we're going to talk about that, because this, I know there's a lot of people that don't think that's real, but I have literally just yesterday. So when this story came through that we're going to talk about today, I literally was talking to someone when that came through about them moving to Minnesota. So, yeah, good stuff this week. Hey, so remember, what do we got to do? Got to click hammer.
I was going to say hammer the like button.
See, look at that. Hammer the share.
Comment.
Yeah. Hammer out a comment to us. We got all this fancy stuff going up on the screen and things for everybody this week. But, so, let's get into some... let's talk about the boy right away. The family pleading for more time after 12-year-old boy left brain dead from TikTok Blackout challenge. So a Colorado family is facing a heartbreaking reality after their 12-year-old son was deemed brain dead days after participating in a viral TikTok challenge. I don't know. I think everybody probably kind of knows about what this is. I heard about it. There's a lot of things we could talk about with this, but he has a twin brother that discovered him unconscious on March 22nd. He was doing the TikTok Blackout challenge. A family friend says, I can't even describe the grief and the devastation. Nobody could ever imagine this would happen to a 12-year-old, and this is just unbelievable that we even need to talk about this and how dangerous some of these things are. And but there's good that comes out of bad, and that's what we need to try to focus on at this point and help somebody else get through it. Let's weigh in.
So this is how much I knew about TikTok, hearing it on the news, but I literally did not even know how to Google the name right. when I went to go try to find more information up about it and see exactly what everybody was talking about, I didn't even have it spelt right. So obviously it's nothing that I follow. Wow. Wow. Who else?
It's heavy. My condolences first off go to Joshua's family. I can't even imagine, going through this. I chose this article. I chose it for a couple reasons, not only to give respect to the family and to Joshua and the fact that he's a 12-year-old boy. I'm a mother of 2 teenagers, a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old, so I couldn't imagine finding them in this state. I've heard of these TikTok challenges. I chose this article also because to bring light to these challenges. If you were to read it more intently, you see that there's other challenges. It's just not this choking challenge to lose consciousness. There's a Benadryl challenge, basically encouraging you to overdose on Benadryl to get sleepy, encouraging you to stick a wire hanger into an outlet. This is, we need as parents, I think, to have these tough conversations with our children. I think we're in an oversensitive society where we're trying to mind our business and sort of give our kids space. But I, as a parent, have learned to be nosy. I want my kids, I want to know what they're doing, especially with all these differences that are going on right now with all these challenges. I think this is unheard of. I think the choking one, I had talked to a few people, they had heard of that one, but the Benadryl one, sticking things in outlets, it's just a common sense. So I had the tough conversation with my kids. I said, have you heard of these? What are your thoughts? Thank goodness I raised great kids. They've seen them, they've heard of them, they have no interest in them, and they don't understand why it's happening.
Amen.
It's all over the place. I mean, I'm very familiar with TikTok. My heart goes out to the family, very much so. I think we need to, it's there, it's everywhere. And I think it needs to be talked about with our youth a lot more. I think there's so many social media things that need to be talked about in our school and stuff like that. And as parents, that doesn't get talked about. The fact that it's out there doesn't mean it has to be accepted. We did so many adult things. Remember the ice challenge for Alzheimer's or this or that. I mean, are we any different than the youth doing it? I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying we need to talk with our kids and our youth and adults. There's a lot of adults on TikTok. It's not just a kids thing by any means.
Right.
So again, it was a horrible thing that went wrong. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it needs to be talked about.
Yeah. And it's, you think it's common sense, but the kids are trying to follow what other kids are doing. Right. And my question is, who's putting these challenges out there? Like, come on. It's inappropriate to even start challenges like this because some kids don't maybe have that parental role model that's there to say, don't put a fork in an outlet or a coat hanger or whatever it is.
Right.
It comes back to parenting, and you don't want to point the finger to anybody, especially in this. It's a tragedy, but parents need to parent. Yeah. And they can't depend on the schools, and the schools can't depend on the parents. It needs to come from multiple sources.
Takes a village.
Yeah. And I'd like to mention, too, that, there's so much more influence, too, with this pandemic we're dealing with, so people are online more. We're not necessarily getting together physically, and they are to do some of these challenges, but also they're influenced by online, and we need to... That's, again, where I come in and I'm like, be a little bit nosy. It's okay to check your kid's phone once a month. Are you paying the bill? I think you're entitled to check the phone and see what they're doing. Have those tough conversations with your children. They are uncomfortable. They are. But they are important. And I think that this article definitely proves that.
Mm-hmm. So there's literally parents that are being sued by kids. I think Canada, it's been... there's been a couple of different cases with that. So you can't parent anymore. And that's part of the problem, I think, too, is I think parents get into a place where they're afraid. And obviously, I'm not saying that this is the case with these parents, but I think that one of the things that hit me is I remember having these challenges with my kids, and after I lost my daughter, you want to, love them more and things like that. But I really drew a hard line on certain things with them, and I think, I don't think they've all told me that, hey, thanks for doing that. Whether they would do that publicly, I don't know. But you know what I
Deep
mean.
down, they do.
But yeah, they've said it and and shown it. And I think that's what counts, is that we have to understand that our kids are supposed to be adults. And that means that we have to show them how to be adults, be responsible.
Well, as much as we want to be their friend, sorry for interrupting you, we have to be their parent.
No, interrupt. I don't.
No, I just feel like, and I'm guilty as I can be. I want to be my kids' friend and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, you have to be the parent, and you have to teach them right from wrong, whether or know how hard it is. So,
Yeah.
And it is. It's hard. It's absolutely.
I know I'm all for, little government control as least as possible. And when I finally got the name TikTok right, when I Googled it, I brought up different countries actually banning, and how, there's 200 million active users in India, and, the influence from these other countries, and why even our Pentagon says that our active duty military shouldn't be using, an app like TikTok, and not that would make anything different for the circumstances, but, we kind of have to look into some of these things sometimes and see where the root of some of this stuff is coming from too as well.
And to tie in with what Harmony said, with kids not being in school and they have nothing but time on their hands, well, maybe screen time isn't how we should be letting our kids fill that void.
Right.
The weather's changing. Get outside. Get active. Turn the TV off. Put the phone down. Be a kid.
Yeah.
So
There has to be a balance of being a kid and having some of those fun things to do, for sure. I remember I have some scars to prove some of the wild things that I've done. But
the downhill challenge.
Yeah, totally. And one of the things that I think is so important is that we have to balance that, right? We have to balance that out with what's safe and what's strong.
Right.
And, that's the difference. And everybody wants to be safe, and we don't want to make them strong. And to make them strong, guess what we got to do? Got to do push-ups.
Yeah.
We got to do things that.
Let them get dirty. Let them get
Yep.
germs.
I call it tough
Exactly.
love.
Go
You
play with-
need
Right.
a
play
little
in the
tough love. And, honestly, I think studies have shown that, kids desire structure and routine and boundaries. They're not going to say it. And I think we've all at this table been teenagers. We know how we acted, this and that. But, just be a little bit more involved. That's what I would encourage.
We need to put our phones down too.
We do.
I'm so guilty
We're
of it.
guilty.
When my daughter's home, I need to put my phone away. So
What do they say? Lead by example.
something like that. Yeah.
That's no fun.
Well,
right?
I fold laundry and my kids don't fold laundry. So there we go with that. That's a meme.
Hey, a lot of people have asked how they can support the work we're doing here at Matt Logan Speaks. Well, you see this hammer that I got in my hand? It's pretty big. All you have to do is hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bell so that when we have new content up, you're the first to know about it. We really appreciate the comments, shares, likes, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us, because the algorithms on all these fancy computers, that's what they need. We appreciate it.